Tourism Ministry steps up efforts to combat illegal levies at tourist sites. And economists call Prabowo's budget cuts brutal. A lot of today is about the economy in Indonesia and some of it the way it's affecting Bali. So stay tuned for details on these and other stories. Selamat pagi. Welcome to the latest news from Bali in Indonesia. This is February 18th, 2025. Got that right today. And my name is Bruce. And what is the weather like today? Wow, lovely. It is a bit hazy, but otherwise very nice. 29 degrees Celsius at 9 o'clock in the morning. And the humidity is all the way up at 80%. Wind speed is almost nothing, 1.4 kilometers per hour. So another lovely day here, and I hope wherever you are, it's also a lovely day. Okay, there's a lot of stuff today about the economy, and that's specifically about the budget cuts from the president and how that is affecting the country, and more specifically in Bali, about the way it's going to affect education, if it's going to affect it. And so, let's get started. First, let's talk about the Tourism Ministry. The Tourism Ministry steps up efforts to combat illegal levies at tourist sites. And you know that has been an issue here in Bali for, well, quite a while. The Tourism Ministry is set to form a task force in collaboration with the Home Ministry to tackle illegal levies and extortion at tourist sites. We still need to discuss this with Home Ministry, but it's already been deliberated. According to Deputy Tourism Minister Nilu Puspa, a recent example of this was during the Christmas and New Year holidays. A guide for an alternative route in Bogor demanded $850,000 from a car driver to escort her on a motorbike to a gas station in order to bypass the congested Puncak route. The driver filmed the altercation and posted it on social media, which then went viral, of course. The victim reported this to the police. Following the report, the perpetrator underwent legal proceedings and was given a mandatory reporting sanction along with a strict warning not to repeat the offense. Hopefully, by the upcoming Eid al-Fitr holidays, the issue of illegal levies like those during the recent Christmas and New Year holidays will no longer occur. It's an optimistic viewpoint. We hope to resolve this matter soon, according to Nilu Puspa. She said the ministry had signed a memorandum of understanding with the police to combat extortion at tourist destinations. She also encouraged local tourism agencies to take similar steps by collaborating with regional police forces to ensure the effective implementation of this policy. Previously, Tourism Ministry Deputy for Industry and Investment Affairs, Riziki Handiani Mustafa, revealed the plan to form a task force on February 12th. Riziki also acknowledged at that time that illegal levies still persisted at tourist destinations. He emphasized the need for a written document that serves as a legal foundation for local administrators and tourism associations in reporting and addressing extortion in the tourism sector. This document would be the legal foundation then, and he said, this way it is not just hearsay, but something that local administrations and tourism associations can officially address. Tourism Ministry Deputy for Destination Development and Infrastructure Affairs, Haryanto, believed that the lack of public understanding of sustainable tourism practices led to widespread illegal levies. He stressed the importance of educational programs to raise awareness about the negative impact of illegal levies and extortion in the tourism sector. Extortionate pricing at tourism sites often involves small-time hoodlums who demand exorbitant payments for various services such as entrance tickets and parking fees. Local people selling foods and beverages also usually take the opportunity to jack up their prices astronomically. Perpetrators of extortion, however, are not limited to local opportunists, but often involve uniformed officials. In mid-December, Malaysian media reported on viral social media posts that claimed Malaysian tourists had been blackmailed by Indonesian police officers on duty at the Jakarta Warehouse Project music event, accusing the revelers of consuming drugs. Even after the visitors produced clear lab results, crooked police officers still demanded payments, allegedly raking in a total of some 32 billion rupiah from 45 victims. Following internal investigations, 3 senior police officers were discharged dishonorably and another 33 received demotions and were barred from law enforcement duties. A more recent case involving Indonesian authorities was revealed in a letter from the Chinese embassy in Jakarta. The embassy requested assistance from the Indonesian Foreign Ministry as there were many cases where immigration officers at Soekarno-Hatta Airport demanded money from Chinese tourists to let them enter in Indonesia. The embassy claimed there were 44 extortion cases between February 2024 and January of this year, with some 32.75 billion rupiah having been refunded to more than 60 Chinese citizens. After the scandal was revealed, the entire leadership and staff at the airport's immigration office were replaced. The tourism ministry is aiming for between 14.5 million and 16 million foreign tourists in 2025. The target for last year was 14.3 million. And this has become an issue in Bali. And just over the last month or so, there have been several incidents that have gone viral where tourists have not wanted to pay for fees because they didn't think that they were legal. So this is something that needs to be cleaned up. And this has been a problem for a long time. And what about the economy and the president's budget cuts? I talked about this the other day. And wow, there is a lot of pushback on this going on right now. Economists called Prabowo's budget cuts brutal. Economists from the Center of Economic and Law Studies, CELIOS, assessed the budget efficiency carried out by President Prabowo Subianto's government as brutal. The budget cut policy was said to be poorly planned, thus hampering economic growth in 2025. You may remember that last year, before the election, the president said he wanted 8% growth. It seems that this efficiency is carried out brutally and actually disrupts the government's own program. So Prabowo is worried that he wants to encourage higher economic growth with this efficiency. But in many regions, in ministries, institutions, money circulation has decreased, according to the executive director, Bima Yudhistira. Bima set a target of economic growth in 2025 of only 4.7%. He argued that budget cuts would have a significant impact on government spending at both the central and regional levels. CELIOS has set a target of 4.7% for economic growth in 2025, partly because of inefficiencies that are not well planned. The budget cuts, he continued, would disrupt public services and hinder investment, especially if efficiency is diverted to the Free Nutritious Meals program called MBG, the management of which is considered less than ideal. For example, road repairs, the budget is eliminated. Many policies are actually counterproductive in their efficiency. Moreover, if this efficiency is diverted to free nutritious meals, we know that the management of the Free Nutritious Meals program is not ideal, and this will hamper economic growth. And you may remember that this was one of the main policy platforms for the president when he was running for election, was this Free Nutritious Meals program, and questions at that time, and actually since it started, about how is he going to pay for it? And these budget cuts are supposed to be one of the ways to pay for that, to funnel that money coming in from cuts in other departments, other agencies, and move it into the Free Nutritious Meals program, which has some problems in getting launched already. On the other hand, Bima agrees if some budgets are cut, such as official travel, procurement of stationery, purchasing of new official cars, that's okay. However, if the efficiency has disturbed performance, he considers it a blunder policy. Economist from the Institute for Development of Economics and Finance, Pak Rizal, is of the same opinion. He assessed that immature budget efficiency planning has the potential to erode the quality of basic services, especially in vital sectors such as health, education, and infrastructure. True efficiency is not just about cutting the budget, but also about creating a mechanism that ensures every expenditure is used appropriately. The government must avoid cutting practices that only burden the public, such as reducing subsidies or delaying the construction of important projects. So this is a main issue. And how is this affecting Bali? Well, one way is in education. And so let's talk about that. Dewa Jack ensures Bali students' demands reach Prabowo. Bali Regional People's Representative Council Chairman Dewa Made Mahayadnya, alias Dewa Jack, ensured that 5 demands from students who are members of the Bali Not Silent Alliance will be conveyed to the president. The demands relate to the cancellation of Presidential Instruction Impress Number 1 of 2025 concerning spending efficiency in the implementation of the 2025 state budget and regional budget. This was stated by Dewa Jack when receiving hundreds of students from all over Bali at the Bali DPRD, Wantilan. And this was yesterday. There were approximately 250 students demonstrating there. The students assessed that the budget cut policy implemented by the Prabowo government had an impact on the education sector. We will send these students' demands to the Ministry of Home Affairs because these are our students. They are part of the Balinese people, part of the young generation who will take this nation forward, said Dewa Jack. We demand all parties, including the government, the president, the Ministry of Finance, to revoke Presidential Instruction Number 1 of 2025 and the letter of the Ministry of Finance, he explained. Bali DPRD, Dewa Jack said, supports all demands submitted by the students, including urging the government to review free meals and pay unpaid lecturers performance allowances. I am grateful that they were polite enough to enter and dared to convey their aspirations peaceably, he said. Vice President of the Student Executive Board of Udayana University said the budget efficiency policy resulted in cuts to the education budget. He assessed that the policy also had the potential to cut the budget of student organizations. In addition to demanding the revocation of the presidential instruction, students also urged the government to review the free nutritious meal policy and to prioritize the education and health sectors. Then they asked the government to realize equal access to higher education for all Indonesian people. So the question is, are these budget cuts going to affect education here in Bali? Well, according to the regional government, no. Bali Education Office ensures education funds will not be cut despite efficiency. So according to the Bali Education Youth and Sports Agency, there will be no budget cuts to education here in Bali. Meanwhile, the education function budget in the Bali regional budget is allocated at 2.5 trillion rupiah or 38%. The nominal is above the minimum requirement of 20%. The budget includes special allocation fund and general allocation fund dispersed by the central government. Pak Boy also ensured that scholarships would not be affected by the efficiency as directed by the Minister of Finance, Ibu Sri Mulyani Indrawati. So the students yesterday said that if there was not any changes, if this presidential instruction was not revoked, that they would be back with more demonstrations. So on the one hand, the regional government says there will be no budget cuts here to education. Students are concerned, and we'll just have to wait and see what's going to happen. And will the president make some changes now that there is a lot of pushback going on around the country about his budget cuts? And finally, yesterday I talked about the social media hashtag about leaving Indonesia. Well, some feedback on that. Manpower Minister says no problem if citizens seek better jobs abroad. Manpower Minister Yassierli acknowledged on Monday that it remained a challenge for the government to prevent brain drain in Indonesia, but said no one could be prevented from seeking greener pastures abroad. He was responding to a week-long protest of Indonesians expressing their frustration on social media over unemployment, massive state budget cuts to key sectors, decreased purchasing power, and lack of access to crucial commodities such as subsidized motor fuel. In the chatter, netizens used the hashtag Kabur Aja Dulu, which translates to let's just run away, when discussing the prospect of leaving the country and moving abroad. The minister said he saw no problem with Indonesians seeking jobs overseas, saying that the onus was on the government to create better jobs at home if it wanted to retain a skilled labor force. There are opportunities available abroad, so these netizens are not only motivated by wanting to flee, he said. If there are opportunities and they would like to leave in order to increase their skills and then come back to Indonesia and develop the nation, there is no problem. But once they leave, what if they don't want to come back? And that has been something the government has been talking about. Get to that in a second. In the past week, the hashtag Kabur Aja Dulu has seen hundreds of thousands of Indonesians expressing their frustration and anger towards the government, including members of the diaspora population. Okay, so the government has been trying to get the diaspora population to come back to Indonesia. The popular discourse has attracted the attention of several officials, many of whom attempted to appeal to those using the tag to be patient and refrain from leaving. This included former Jakarta governor, who said in a short video that loving Indonesia is indeed an act that requires patience. And energy and mineral resources, Bahlil, who attracted sharp criticism for his remarks, suggesting that leaving would be unnationalistic. Yassierli, however, said it was the government's job to ensure good working conditions in Indonesia. This is a challenge for us. If the desire to leave is motivated by the working population's aspirations, the government must create better jobs. This has been our note and concern in the middle of all this, he said. The sudden urge among some Indonesians to leave the country comes amid ongoing government efforts to attract highly qualified members of the diaspora back to the country. While the government is offering incentives to entice members of diaspora to return to Indonesia, including a scheme that allows foreign citizens of Indonesian descent to hold a permanent Indonesian visa, officials' recent moves have raised severe doubts among the diaspora. Several Indonesians who hopped on the trend to find foreign jobs previously told the Jakarta Post that decreased purchasing power, lackluster welfare and healthcare programs, and low confidence in the public education system were among their primary motives. So the government has a lot of ambitious plans that they want to carry out by 2045, which will be, of course, the 100th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence from colonial rule. So another 20 years. What is going to happen in another 20 years? Boy, hard to tell these days, isn't it? Okay, that is it for today. Thanks to everybody who has sent suggestions and examples for my motorized wheelchair thing, and we've got three-wheelers and the scooters and the thing that looks like something that you would drive on a farm. I've looked all of these things up actually, and they're all available here in Indonesia. So I'm considering exactly what I want to do with this, how I want to do it, where I'm going to go, what the conditions of the sidewalks and the streets are in the areas that I specifically want to explore. And so I've got some more research to do on that, but I really appreciate all of the comments about this. Wow, I did not expect to get such a response. So thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today. Take care, and I will see you on Thursday.